Well, we might need to rejig the old expression, a week's a long time in politics. UK Prime Minister Liz Truss will step down next week, becoming the shortest serving Prime Minister in British history, spending just 44 days in the top job. The wheels began falling off, of course, after Truss handed down her mini-budget, sending financial markets into a spin and resulting in a disastrous political backflip. Despite this, only 36 hours ago, Truss was holding firm.
Mr. Speaker, I am a fighter and not a quitter.
But overnight, that all changed after she was tapped on the shoulder.
I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party. I have therefore spoken to His Majesty the King to notify him that I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
How about that, hey? She was sworn in by the late Queen and she handed her resignation in to King Charles. We were speaking with GB News commentator Calvin Robinson only 7 hours before Liz Truss handed in her notice.
No chance she can hang on. It's a matter of when, not if, she leaves. I'm not convinced she'll see the week out. That's how dire this situation is.
Yeah, that was Calvin last night. He was spot on. There's even speculation, of course, Boris Johnson could make a comeback, something we contemplated a month ago. We'll see how Liz Truss goes, hey? It's going to be interesting to see what happens to Boris Johnson too. I've got a feeling we'll hear more from him in the future, but in what role, time will tell, hey? Well, let's bring in Australia's former Foreign Minister, Alexander Downer, live from London. Good to talk to you again, Alexander. That's the big question. Can Boris Johnson come back?
So I'm worried that you reprise these programs and go back to our predictions from earlier. I might get it wrong, but look, I think it's very unlikely he would get the 100 votes he needs to be on the ballot, the 100 MPs support he needs to be on the ballot paper, because it is, if you like, too soon for him. I think it would be seen as a bit incredible if the party brought him back now. In a year's time, that might have been different, but I think now it's just too soon. So my guess is that it will be a runoff between Rishi Sunak, the former Chancellor of the Exchequer, that is like the Treasurer, and Penny Mordaunt, who is a cabinet minister as well. So I think that will be the runoff.
Hell of a task both to pull the party, the government together, but also to manage some of the crucial economic issues, the energy issues, the inflation issues that are bedeviling Britain right now.
Britain, these are the same issues that America has and the European Union has, so they all have it, and they're all caused by the same factor. That is to focus here on the UK. The British government went on a massive spending spree through the pandemic by paying what was called furlough, which was the equivalent of the Australian JobKeeper. They spent something like £44 billion on that scheme, compensating for their lockdowns. Then they decided on a big social care package, a basically nursing home package. And then on top of that, they decided that they would not only cut taxes, but that they would also subsidise people's energy bills to the extent not exactly known, but to the extent of something like £60 billion, more than the furlough scheme cost. And all of this was pretty much unfunded. So, I mean, it's the first time I've ever seen a Conservative government. I've seen Labor governments do it, but it's the first time I've ever seen a Conservative government come up with such whopping expenditure without a clue for how they were going to fund it. So, you know, that was very quickly the end of Liz Truss when the financial markets reacted against this voodoo economics. And so the challenge for the next Prime Minister will be to get the budget into better shape.
Yeah, now, predictably, Labor are saying, forget all this shambles and yet another leadership contest, have a general election and we'll see what the people want. Is there any chance at all of an early election?
No, there's no chance because the Conservatives have a very big majority in the House of Commons and they certainly wouldn't want an election now. Their polling is around 20%. and the Labour Party's polling around 53, 54%. So an election would lead to the Conservative Party being pretty much wiped out. And so Conservative MPs aren't going to be voting for that in the Parliament to dissolve the Parliament. The Parliament also has 2 years to run. So, I mean, they have a reasonable argument, which is that the UK has a parliamentary system, not a presidential system.
Exactly, yeah.
And members of Parliament are elected for 5 years, and they've only done under 3 of their 5 years. So there won't be an election, no.
Fascinating times. Thanks for bringing us up to date, Alexander.
It's a pleasure.